Right everyone, it is Finn here and welcome back to another World Cup Wednesday video on a Thursday. Yes, unfortunately for the last few days I have been feeling quite sick, so unfortunately wasn't able to do this video yesterday. But I mean, better late than never, I guess. And of course, World Cup Wednesday, where every single Wednesday I release a World Cup related video, and today I've made a tier list ranking all of the centre backs for France and their chances of going to the World Cup at the end of the year. Now of course I've got in front of me 13 French centre backs. Now of course only a certain number of them can go to the World Cup unless France wants to be super defensive and take 13 centre backs with them, which I highly doubt. And of course, as you can see on the tier list, we've got 5 categories. We've got definitely going, which means there's no shadow of a doubt in my mind that this centre back will be going to Qatar. Of course, we've got good chance, which means it's not guaranteed, but I mean, let's be honest, they probably will be going. We've got 50-50, which means it could go either way. We've got probably not, which means it is very unlikely, and of course no chance for those French centre backs that absolutely will not be going to the World Cup. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget World Cup Wednesday every single Wednesday. If you guys have any suggestions on what you want me to do for future World Cup Wednesdays, let me know in the comment section down below. Don't forget to subscribe if this is your cup of tea, which yes, I've been having a lot of that since I've been feeling under the weather, but let me not feel sorry for myself. Jumping straight into the video, looking at this tier list, centre back number 1 that I'm going to be looking at. Where should we start off? Let's start off with the centre back like Zuma, the West Ham centre back. I'm just going to put him in this 50-50 at the moment. I can promise you he won't be sitting there. Now of course, as we know, Zuma is a centre back who's been part of this French international team for quite a while, but to be honest with you, I just don't see him going to the World Cup. I'm not going to say no chance whatsoever. He is a very capable centre back, but obviously with a bunch of controversy over the last few months, especially after the video of him kicking his pet cat.
If I speak, I am in big trouble. In big trouble, and I don't want to be in big trouble.
I just have the feeling that it is very unlikely that France wants a player like him to represent their country, and because of that, I just don't see him going to the World Cup. It is a pity because he is a very accomplished centre-back, 27 years old, should be in the prime of his career, but as I said, I mean, kicking a cat, I mean, you just can't have a player like that represent you, for me personally at least. Now of course, moving on to the next centre-back, let's go for an interesting one. Let's go for the likes of Rafael Varan. Once again, just going to plop him in the 50-50 from now on. Now of course, as a Manchester United fan myself, I can say that Varane hasn't quite made the change that I thought he would at Manchester United. Look, saying this, and this is definitely going to be a weird comment for me to make, but I would almost say that we've looked worse since taking Harry Maguire out of the team.
What did he say?
And that is saying something. Look, it is no lie that he is obviously an incredible centre-back. Out of all the centre-backs I'm going to mention today, has the most French caps, was obviously part of that World Cup winning squad in 2018, 85 caps for the French national team. Obviously 29 years old, is known for having a very good head on his shoulders, and no, that's not me saying that he looks attractive. He is obviously a very intelligent centre-back, obviously a lot of experience, and although wasn't the best centre-back in the world in the Premier League this season, we know how good he can be, we know how reliable he can be. Obviously very world-renowned centre-back, one of the best in the world, and I'm not going to say definitely going, although there's a good chance. You know what, I could put him in the definitely going. If I made a category between these two, I would probably put him there. Now of course, moving on to the next centre back, let's go to someone who I just cannot see going for the life of me, and it has to be good old Samuel Umtiti, and he has to go in the no chance category. Of course, known for his incredible dance moves. I mean, unfortunately, that's not going to get you on a plane to Qatar. As we know, Samuel Umtiti has struggled with injuries over the last few years, 28 years old at the moment, but only one appearance in all competitions this season. Unfortunately, haven't seen enough from him. He has been extremely injury prone, and you just can't have a player like that going. As I said, especially because of a huge lack of play time over the last year or two, and it's so weird to think that a player like him was linked to the likes of Manchester City and Manchester United a year or two ago. But as I said, at this point in time, without any game time this season bar one game, it's just unfortunately no chance of going to the World Cup in my opinion. Now moving on, let's go to another really interesting one, and this is going to be a centre-back that I doubt a lot of people really know about, and I think he has a really good chance of going to the World Cup. In fact, I'm going to put him in the 50-50 category, and it is going to be a player by the name of Robin Lenormand. Now, once again, a centre-back that not a lot of people would have heard about before, has had 0 appearances for the French national team, but obviously for Real Sociedad this season in the Liga, he has been brilliant. He's a centre-back that's known for his passing ability, obviously 4.78 clearances in La Liga this season. I mean, as a centre-back, he has had an absolutely brilliant season. Was the October La Liga player of the season. He has really gotten his name out there. As I said, in terms of his contribution or his distribution from the back, in terms of having, once again, just like Varane, a very, very good head on his shoulders, I have to put him in here. I'm not going to say he's got a good chance, because once again, he's never represented France before. It would be a gamble, but as I said, I think he's got a decent chance after the campaign that he's just had. I mean, genuinely, I would consider looking him up if I was you. Genuinely a centre-back to look into. Now, next up, once again, we've got a rather interesting one, as it is going to be the likes of Wesley Fofana. Once again, just going to put him in the 50-50 for now, but if I had to be honest, I'm probably going to put him in the probably not category. I think that Fofana is an absolutely brilliant centre-back. As we know, got a lot of pace behind him that he could probably play in those full-back positions, but unfortunately, once again, one of the centre-backs that has struggled with injuries over the last year or two, and because of that, the gap between you and the quality of centre-backs over you, that gap is seen there. Once again, as I said, I think he's a totally brilliant centre-back, but his chances are unlikely. Also, once again, 0 appearances for France. He's only 21 years old though, so his time will end up coming eventually. I mean, only 5 Premier League games this season and 5 Conference League games. As much as I think that he is a good centre-back, he will probably play for a top 6 team in the future. Unfortunately, right now, I just don't see it happening, and I'm just going to put him in the probably not category. Now, moving on to the likes of our next centre-back, and this, as I said, as a Manchester United fan, it hurts me to say this, but we've got the likes of Konate from Liverpool, and to me, I might have to put him in the definitely going category. What a campaign he's had in his first ever season at Liverpool. I believe he's played something like 27 games for Liverpool this season with 0 losses in the games he's played. I mean, he's scored crucial goals for Liverpool this season. Yes, he's had a mistake from time to time, but he's still adapting to the game. Once again, still extremely young, only 22 years old. As I said, the impact he's had for Liverpool, a team that could win the quadruple this season. I mean, with the competition in there in the centre-back positions, with Joel Matip and Virgil van Dijk, to still get your name out there as a centre-back, being so impressive, and once again is a player who deserves to play for France. Once again, 0 appearances though, so whether that will end up hindering it, probably, but as I said, the campaign he's had, I have to put him in there. Now, of course, once again, a centre-back who's going to end up joining his club teammate. We've got the likes of Lenglet next. As we know, Barcelona centre-back. Once again, I have to put him in the no chance category. Once again, a very capable centre-back on his day, and of course, Barcelona in general have been struggling with their centre-backs over the last few years, but of course, really struggling to get game time this season. I mean, if you look at the likes of Lenglet, obviously 14 league games on the bench this season. The fact that they have struggled from time to time when it comes to their defensive ability, and they still don't call up a player like Lenglet, really shows how much he's fallen over the last few years. Of course, 15 appearances for the French national team, only 26 years old, so yes, maybe he could recover that, maybe he could still play for a top team, but once again, the form that he's been in for Barcelona, not even being a regular in a struggling squad, I have to put him with Samuel Umtiti. I just don't see them have any chance of going to the World Cup, not in their wildest dreams. Now, of course, moving on, once again, very interesting player, as we've got the likes of Saliba next. Now, of course, on loan to Marseille from Arsenal. Now, once again, I'm going to put him in the 50-50 category for now. Now, once again, he's a very weird player. 2 appearances already for France, only 21 years old. And I mean, if you look at him statistically, I have to put him at least in this 50-50 category. Obviously, although he wasn't chosen to stay at Arsenal this season, statistically, 93.7 passing accuracy this season, 6.2 progressive carries as a centre-back. Once again, you need that distribution from a defender like him. Once again, he's got speed on him, he's got a good head on his shoulders, and I think definitely a centre-back for the future. I think in 3 years' time, he's going to be a regular in the French international team. I think he could be the centre-back to replace Rafael Varan when he ends up retiring from international duty. Very solid player, of course. I mean, if he returns to this Arsenal team and he joins them on a regular basis, I think they've got themselves a very solid centre-back. If you put him next to Gabriel, or if you rotate him obviously with Ben White, once again, very solid option, and I think there's almost a good chance of of him going. But once again, only 2 appearances so far for France. I am going to, at least in the meantime, put him in the 50-50 category. Now moving on. Now who do I choose between the last 5 to put up first? You know what? I'm going to choose a weird one. I'm going to put Upamecano up next. And once again, is going to be a centre-back that I'm going to put in the 50-50 category. I mean, looking at the likes of Upamecano, I thought it was very weird at first when he moved from RB Leipzig to Bayern Munich. And he is one of the centre-backs where no one's really spoken about him this season. And I don't know why. I mean, if you look at him statistically this season, Upamecano has been really decent. Once again, only 23 years old, has had 6 appearances for France already, 6 assists in the Bundesliga. For a centre-back, 6 assists is absolutely incredible. Once again, if you've got vision like him, if you can pop a ball over from the back, almost like a prime David Luiz, if you want to compare him to that, if you pop it up over the front and you get it to your Griezmann or you get it to your Kylian Mbappe, once again, he could be a real difference for the French national team. And I would say that he almost has to go to the World Cup. I think that he could genuinely make a major difference, obviously, for 2.46 tackles per game, a very, very solid, reliable centre-back at the end of the day. Still young, got a very, very bright future ahead of him. I'm not going to say it's guaranteed that he will end up going, but you know what? I think there's a good chance that he'll end up going to the World Cup, to be honest with you. Now moving on, let's go for another Bayern Munich centre-back. And once again, whether you consider him a centre-back or whether you consider him a left-back, it is going to be the likes of Lucas Hernandez, which once again, whether he plays as a full-back or centre-back, he can do both. He has done both for Bayern Munich, unlike his brother Theo Hernandez, who kind of stays in the left-back position. But looking at the likes of Lucas Hernandez, once again, what a brilliant player he has turned out to be over the last few years. I mean, if you look at Lucas Hernandez, as I said, very reliable in terms of a defender, having that versatility, playing in different roles and positions, could get him a selection in the squad overall. He is known for his speed, he's known for his passing. I mean, once again, just like Upamecano, is one of those players who could find the perfect pass. Once again, for Bayern Munich, I mean, you're just almost guaranteed to win silverware every single season. But of course, I would almost say he's been the perfect kind of David Alaba kind of replacement, although those are boots that you could almost never fill. Once again, I wouldn't say David Alaba was missed at Bayern Munich this season because of a player like Lucas Hernandez, and once again, just like Upamecano, has to go in the good chance category. I think it is very, very likely. Now, of course, next up, we've got the likes of Kounde, and now this is a player I have to say I think is almost definitely going to be honest with you. He has been brilliant over the last year or two at the likes of Sevilla in the La Liga. Obviously, has still been heavily linked to the likes of Chelsea. He probably will make a big money move very, very soon. It is said that he's going to move to the likes of Chelsea for a reported £60 million if he ends up doing so. Once again, what a brilliant, brilliant looking player at the moment. Obviously, looking at the likes of Kounde, once again, 14 clean sheets and 31 La Liga games this season, is one of those players, once again, when it comes to distribution, when it comes to speed, he would fit perfectly in Premier League football. And if you put him next to someone like Konate or like a Rafael Varan, I think he is almost certain. Once again, France are so lucky to have so many brilliant young centre-backs. The amount of 23-year-olds or 22-year-olds or 21-year-olds in the squad, it is scary. And once again, I just can't see him not going to the World Cup. And yes, I know this looks very, very odd that I've put Konate and Kounde over the likes of Rafael Varan, but I mean, once again, it might just happen. In fact, you know what? I'm just going to please my Manchester United heart. I'm going to move Rafael Varan there. Once again, the most appearances for France so far, or 85 appearances, the most out of any player in the squad, still a top-class centre-back. He probably is guaranteed a spot in this French international team, even if he had a mediocre season. Now, of course, moving on to our final 2 players, we next up have the likes of Lacroix. Now, of course, as you know, is a centre-back who is probably most known for being memed, for being one of the fastest centre-backs on FIFA. But of course, as we know, hasn't had an absolutely brilliant season with Wolfsburg, or should I say Wolfsburg hasn't had an absolutely brilliant season, as they are 12th in the Bundesliga. But 4.1 interceptions per game, 2 blocks per game, and 3.3 aerial battles won per game. I think that there is a very good chance of him going. I wouldn't quite put him in the good chance category. Obviously, looking at him, 0 appearances for France at the moment, and whether they would introduce so many new players that have never appeared for them before, I think it's very unlikely. But as I said, the kind of performances that he's been pulling out for Wolfsburg, he has been a major part to why they aren't lower down in the league. I mean, I think they would seriously be struggling in a 14th, 15th, 16th place if they didn't have a centre-back like him. Once again, is a centre-back who will make a big money move within the next year or two, and I think he will make a French international debut very, very soon. But whether it will be for the World Cup, I'm not too sure, so I'm going to put him in the 50-50 category for now. Now, of course, ladies and gentlemen, that takes us to our final centre-back on the list, and it is going to be the likes of Prasnal Kampempe, one of the centre-backs that has a very, very good chance of going. Once again, just like Rafael Varan has been in this French system for a very, very long time. 26 appearances for the French national team, once again as part of that World Cup winning squad. Now, once again, whether he's been brilliant this season, I can't tell you that. I don't watch the French league. But statistically, as we know, is a very, very capable centre-back. Has really kind of stood in to Thiago Silva's boots since he left for Chelsea. Has been a very, very good centre-back partner with the likes of Marquinhos. Once again, as we know, very, very, very solid centre-back. Has a very good chance. I'm going to put him in the higher ends of good chance. In fact, I could almost put him in definitely going or guaranteed to go. He is a very solid centre-back at the end of the day, and even with all the centre-back kind of competition at PSG, very, very solid player. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is it for my French centre-back tier list for World Cup 2022 in terms of who I think is going and who I think has absolutely no chance of going. Now, of course, I am very aware that videos like this can be very, very controversial. You might disagree with a lot of my opinions, but hey, I mean, I guess that's why they're called opinions. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any other video suggestions in terms of World Cup content, let me know in the description down below or in the comment section down below, and I am very likely to choose your comments, and if I do, I'll end up pinning your comments, all of that, making it the top comment. Guys, I hope you have enjoyed this video. Let me know if you disagree with anything I've said. Yeah, once again, I'm aware that it will be controversial. People probably will disagree with me, but I mean, I think this just shows how many brilliant centre-back options France have for the World Cup. Can they remain or can they retain their World Cup trophy? Can they win it back to back? I mean, unless they choose a Barcelona centre-back, which is very, very unlikely. Guys, this has been Finn, FYNN. Don't forget to subscribe to see more of my stuff in the future. Don't forget to hit that like button. Until next time, Finn, FYNN. Cheers.